Welcome back to another episode of a very basic space program. You find us flying over America, well, Florida, attempting to break the height record that we've got. We've got an X-Planes high 55 kilometers. This episode, we're going to be going for orbit, not with this plane though, so please join me. Right, with that mission out of the way and another 4.5 science coming in, we are clear to actually speed along and get on with going to orbit. So we've got 120 days until this node finishes off. We're going to end up getting this Javelin done, and we'll actually launch that whilst we're building the actual orbital crafting, or if we need some money, we'll actually launch it because we may need a bit more funds just to pay for a few bits and bobs while we're doing that. So while that's being recovered, let's move forward, and we're going to get to the point where we can actually do some work here. So fast forward through that Javelin can just sit waiting until we're ready to launch it, or we're doing something else, and we're going to fast forward for the 50 days. That's going to take us to just the end of 1956. It's November, and we have now got that underway. So let's go and finalize our rocket. So this is what we put together over the last few episodes when we're going through the different parts, and we're going to need to check now what engines we've got. So we've got this engine here. We're going to spend a little bit of money just to upgrade it, I think, but first I want to have a look and see where is my engine. I want to purchase you. So you're going to be 60. Right, this is going to make it tight. I think, how much does our tooling cost? Our tooling is going to cost 42. Ooh, I think we're going to need to launch that Javelin. So we're going to launch the Javelin, and then we're going to finish building this because we need the Javelin's money to get this thing ready, I think. Right, and while we just check that, how long is this going to take to build when we do it? It's going to take 187 days. Okay. Right, let's get us a Javelin launch, because I really would like a better engine for this if we're going to do it. It's 12,000. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Right, let's go get a Javelin sorted out. Right, so what missions have we got that are going to give us a good chunk of funds? Let's have a look. We have altitude difficult will give us not a tiny amount of money. It's 15. It would pay for it, I think. And we'd have to get above that with a big little payload. What about this one? This one's going to give us... Are these tied together now? 227, 29. Oh, they are different. Okay. So this one would give us, let's see, 380, going 350 downrange, and that would give us a bigger chunk actually. So I think we're going to go for this. We just need to increase our payload to 380. Right. So we take that. Let's go put 380 in the Javelin. Right, we have another dawn launch for the Javelin. This is Javelin JO13, number 13. That's unlucky for some. We're hoping it's going to be okay for us. So we need to go downrange by, let's pull this up. We need to go downrange by a total of, where are we? 350 kilometers. We have the correct payload on board. So let us prepare ourselves. We're going to use Smart ASS again for this because it's just nice for holding it. We're going to start the engine, and then we're going to wait for it to get going, and then release, and off we go. So we're going to wait until we get to about 70 meters per second, then we're going to start tilting over. Off we go, tilting as we go. This is potentially the last Javelin flight. We may get another one in, we'll have to have a look, but this is the last Javelin 2 flight. Javelin 3 will be our orbital class of rocket, and once that's launched and we've gone orbital, we will not have any sounding rocket payload type contracts anymore. So we have to be aware of that. So we're going to have to keep pushing onwards with our aims. So this is just flying on up there, and we're trying to just work it over. And I want to be about 70 now. I could actually just speed. Let's just speed this flight up a bit. We're going to do a speedy flight. So we're going to move that down. I'm going to take that down to 65 now. And then we're going to be down to, when we get to 700, we're going to be about 60. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep pulling it down. There we go. Down to 50. And then at 1,000, we should really be at 45. But we'll We won't be. There we go. 46, 45. There we go. Optimal angle, I think something like that. Probably go a little bit lower, but we'll cope with that. In fact, yeah, let's go just one or two lower. There we go. There we go. Right, and now we're just riding it up to the highest point we can get to, and to make sure that we get that downrange distance, we're actually going to be, you know, height-wise, we're going to be okay. We're actually going to have gone as high as it needs to, and yeah, look at that. We're just riding up there. We're probably going to reach that target before we even actually get to our apoaps. Looking at this, yeah, we're going to get it before the apoaps. So this craft is capable of doing this nice and easy. And we could keep rocking these out and just building up cash as long as we wanted, but it's boring. It's boring, isn't it? So we've done that. Time to range safety number 13. Number 13 is gone. Well done, number 13. Right, let's get on with this rocket. We are ready to basically buy some other bits and bobs for this rocket and prepare to send it off. One of the big things, actually, one of the big reasons for going for this upgraded S3 engine, the LR79 engine, firstly, because we've actually researched that upstage engine, we have the more advanced one available, which gives us better thrust. But the other thing is, it actually starts out with much better reliability, so it's sort of 5%, almost 5% better reliability than the standard one, which means the effort we'd have put in getting extra data for the S3 would have been taking us about as much time as it was waiting for the S3D. So we might as well, you know, have waited, got the S3D and gone for it. So we're going to buy that. There we go. It's 12,000 out the tank. We have another part that we actually need to buy, which is the LR-101. That will cost us 8,000. That takes a big haul out of everything. And now we can actually look at, right, what are we looking at? So we wanted this craft to be under 60 tons. We also want it to basically use this engine to its maximum potentially, even if we're under fueling it. So we're gonna make this tank longer, because we probably will stick solid rocket boosters on this in time, and it's going to be eating into our positives, but I don't really mind about that. So we're gonna take this to be, let's see, I want it to be, keep going. We want it to be, I think it's 305, is it? There we go. In fact, you know what? That's a nice-ish number to go for. It gives us a bit of movement to play with, things like that. A 3-minute burn on that is fine. Right, that's a nice starter for us. This seems okay as well. I'm quite happy with that. It's a long burn, but it's a good burn. We start off with a reasonable thrust. So let's have a look. What I will do is I will tidy this up, make it pretty, and then I think we're going to be ready to build it. So I will see you when I've prettied this. So I have tidied up the rocket, got rid of some of those colours that we're using for building. I would suggest when you're actually building a rocket for the first time, a plan for the first time, feel free to colour in random bits in random colours, even if you're not going to use those colours in the end, because sometimes it's helpful for guiding you a bit as to where things are and what you're placing them. So let's have a look. I'm not sure I like this colour scheme, but we'll see what it goes with. There's a lot of black, and I normally go with much whiter rockets, but we've got our interstages being in black, our boat tails in black, our avionics are all in black. So we've got the avionics up there, avionics there. Our probe is actually just in foil. We've got this tank in white and black, we've got this pattern on here. I will probably change these. I might even go for grey, I don't know. I was thinking of changing this for something else, but it just, I don't know. We'll think about it. So that is it ready. We're going to save it, and then we're going to try and launch it. But first we've got to tool it. So let's tool that. That's going to cost us 40 something. So we'll purchase all the tooling. Oof, it's a big chunk. And now we've got to build the thing. So save it, launch it. Do that. We need those trusses and everything, and we're actually going to put a second one on as well. So we're going to create a second copy of it, number 2, and we're going to put that up as well. Okay, so there's 2 of them in the launch queue, so we should have enough for the rollout, because the rollout's only going to be about 500, so we'll be able to launch both of them easily, which is great. So I think we are ready to now prepare ourselves for orbit. While we wait for the Javelin 3A to actually build, which is going to take us up until 1957. We're going to launch the Coniston 3 on another mission. This is a X-Planes high going up to 60 kilometers, and it's going to give us a chunk of cash. It should take us up to a nice, potentially another upgrade point, which we might put into the VAB, but we'll see. So let's get this thing launched. What we're actually going to do though is we are going to position it so that it is quite a distance from where we would normally launch. So normally we would launch at 90 degrees. We're actually going to launch at 0 degrees, and we're going to put the craft at a 180, so it's going to head back down towards us, because we want to make sure it's pretty much over land when we do this. We're going to aim to actually get some of that photographic science over areas that aren't the sea right now. So that's what we're aiming for. We're just going to get maximum science from it. So let's launch this thing. Right, so we are heading south right now. We're just getting the engines going. There we go. And we're going to point our nose up and try and get up to 60 kilometers. That is our target. If we get the science on the way, that's a wonderful bonus, but we really want to get up to the 60 kilometer mark. So we're going to speedy this up a little bit for us. Pulling up until we get too close to that sort of 40-degree angle, I think, and then we'll just fire it there. Keeping an eye on our surface speed. We want to make sure that's continually climbing. We don't want to actually go so far up that it actually stops climbing. So there we go. Speed is going up, our angle is up. We're going to pull up just a little bit. There we go. That's nice. Now we're going to be going soon. We're going to be going into Mach 2. We're already over Mach 1 quite quickly, in fact. We broke the sound barrier very quickly there. There we go, we're over basically Mach 2 now, so we're getting our science for that coming in. That's nice. Still climbing, lots of climb. Slow this down so we can actually monitor. So we want to hit about 60. I think this craft could potentially get to 75, which is the limit of this comp. I don't want to push that though, so we're just keeping an eye on this. Coming low. Down a smidgen, there we go, because we know we're going to be over 60. That's good. We don't want to go over 70. 75, definitely not over 75. Throw back those engines as much as possible. There we go. We're going to just edge it down a bit, so we know we can get to 70 with this craft. We could probably hit 75 if we really pushed it. So we've got another couple more steps in this airplane, in this airframe, before we have to replace that cockpit and go for something a little bit more substantial. We also would need to replace these engines, I think. So let's move this forward a bit, get a bit of speed going on. So we're past our target, which is nice. We've got the vessel complete because this is finished construction. We should be getting, if we can click on it, yep, we are getting photography. Now what sort is it? We are over forests. That's wonderful. So there you go. We're flying high over the forest. The coastline is coming into view. We're going to dump down by the coast, I think, somewhere nice. Little city down there. Wonder what that is. Anybody who knows America? What is north of the Cape? About 1,000 kilometers north up the coast. That'd be a nice distance to know about. Alright, although actually be less than that now, probably about 700 kilometers, I'd imagine, given our relative speed and so forth. We're going to just pull this here. We want to pull back just a smidgen. Just pop that to there, because we don't want to come down too fast and carry too much speed, and we're going to get a bit of G-force on that there when we go. Right, heading along, going okay. We're going to try and come down reasonably sort of shallow. We don't want to overdo it. We're still getting all of this nice science here from the Mach 2 flights. You know, it's not a lot, but it adds up. We're a chunk of the way through it now, past the halfway mark, I think, on it. So we're not going to do that using this craft all the time. We're probably going to have to build ourselves something with a jet engine to do it, just to do that one. So here we go, coming in. The air's thickening. We've now lost our Mach 2 flight, so we might as well bump it down into the lower atmosphere and slow this thing down nice and quick. So we're going to dive really fast, get into the thick stuff, and then we're going to level out when we're coming in lower. Right, there we go. I'm not sure how many more flights of this craft I'm going to show you. I think we'll probably, as I said earlier, we'll probably chuck in, once we're going orbital, it's going to be focused on the orbital stuff. We'll chuck in the 75 limit on this, and then if we get a new cockpit and we're going higher, then we'll start looking at it. This airframe should be potentially able to go higher. I think potentially it could actually break the Kármán line, this airframe. It has the potential, possibly with the addition of some air brakes and things for the return. Although you've seen here, this return angle is, you know, it's fine. It's pretty stable. It's pretty nice. I'm still not sort of torn on the sort of decanted wings here like this. I'm undecided on it, and I know these wings are not particularly wide. We've got quite large sort of tail fins for the actual sort of lift main body of the wings, so it's a bit of an odd design actually, but it's okay. It's not bad. It does the job for us. It's achieving everything we want it to achieve. Probably could have actually achieved this with 2 engines in here and just burned longer, but you know, we're doing okay. Right, coming in, and I think we're going to just deploy parachutes now. Actually, let's try a high-speed parachute deployment. There we go. Ooh, oh dear. Well, I think we have learned a valuable lesson there. I think that may be the end of the Coniston 3. Right. Oh dear. Sorry about that, Fred. Well, we could put the wings back on, couldn't we? Yeah, we could put the wings back on. That wouldn't be impossible. Yeah, there's more of it left than the last one. I think that's a positive. I think that is a positive. So what we've learned there is, do not deploy parachutes. That looks like a rocket actually. We could just launch it as a rocket. Do not deploy parachutes when you're going that fast, because they will open and they will snap bits. Right. Well, I think that's a more successful failure than the first Coniston failure. Coniston 2's failure. Was it the Coniston 2? I think it was the Coniston 2. I think yeah, we've definitely we failed better. We failed better there, you know. Well, have we failed worse? I don't know if you would. Anyway, let's put this thing down and get the science. I think the Coniston. Oh, there's a bit of it over there. There's some of you. I don't know what that bit is. Looks like a wing, possibly. I don't know. I'm guessing it's a wing. We have sheared them off completely there. You can actually see a nice little bit of patterning where the structures are. Alright, so we'll just land you down. Oh, that was a bump, wasn't it? It looks like we've got a problem with the tail as well. Possibly something may have snapped in there. I don't know. We'll have to have a look. Alright, so I think that is the end of the Coniston 3. Right, in what has become the last flight of the Coniston 3, we have got about 5 science more from it, which is nice. It adds up to a chunk, so we're getting more and more with it. We could keep flying. Well, we could rebuild it, but it's going to get in the way of the Javelin. So the Coniston 3 is basically on the back burner. Is going to sit there with the Coniston 2, in fact, and we'll just leave it there. We may actually take it and recondition it for something else, because I notice we do have, is it in this one or is it in the next one? That's the engine. So the XLR-99 spaceplane engine, that is the one I want. So I think once we get up to that, we're going to stick that in the Coniston, and then the Coniston is going to be sorted, and then we'll also get, do we have it here or is it in the next node there? Nope, 1.5 meter. Yeah, that's the one I want. So that is that and that together are going to give us, that's 15 science, and that's going to give us the ability to get near the Kármán line. I think we're going to be able to get near it. We might not be able to get into space, but we can get into the Kármán line with that, I think. So that will be our Kármán line shot, and I think once our rockets, once these ones are done, I think once we've got this science done, I'd be happy going for that. What's the next one here? This is caster upgrades, is it? That would be a nice thing to have. Anyway, I think that's what we're going to aim for. We need to get lunar range communications, because I actually do need to upgrade the tracking station. So I'm actually going to pop that on there already. That's a definite requirement. So that's that. So that's all the stuff that I want researched now, and then I think we might go into that, or we might go into other flights. Anyway, let's get this orbital mission launched. So I'm going to warp forward to it. It's going to take us best part of half a year, and I will join you in 1957. Right, it is a historic day for the space program. It is the 20th of the 5th, 1957. We're not going that fast, but, and I'll be honest with you, we could actually go faster and I could do other flights and stuff, but you know, it gets boring if you do the same flight over and over again, so not doing that. So we're gonna go for orbit now with our Javelin 3A. This is J101, and we're gonna launch it. We're gonna try and get this thing into orbit, and fingers crossed we do not have an engine failure. So here we are on the pad. We have the Javelin ready. We're aiming for a periaps of any periaps over 150 is acceptable for this mission. We don't have to be specific. There's nothing special about it. This is not the final sort of first satellite contract. We don't have the solar. Well, we do have the option for the solar one, the polar one, or the scientific one, but we're just trying to get the basic first artificial satellite. We could roll them into this, but we're not going to because we know we have to do at least another couple of flights. So let's see how this goes. While this has been building, we have actually got better tech for avionics, so we could actually upgrade our avionics in the future and make this even more efficient. We should have more than enough thrust on this vehicle, although I have left this out and not filled and not emptied the tank, so that's going to be a problem. So let us see how this thing goes. It should be able to get off the ground. It's just not going to be really efficient at the moment. We could maybe put some boosters on it or something, or upgrade that engine in the future. So we're ready. Let's get going. So thrust is up. We're going to use Smart SAS for this. We're not going to use the guidance systems for launch guidance and ascent and so forth. We're just going to do it the oldish school way. Right, we're going to fire the engines. Engines a go. And release. And we're going up. And we're going to go up slowly. It's going to be a slow climb to start with. We're slightly below what I would like my sea level thrust to it to be. We're about 3 points behind it, but we're going to catch up, so that's okay. And it does mean this rocket has the capability to go better and get further. If we get an engine with a bit more efficiency or a bit more thrust, we can just strap it straight on without changing this core, which is going to save us some money and time. I've decided I don't like the paint scheme. We're definitely going to change that. That's going to change. We're going to make it, I think, more white, and we're going to possibly have a little bit of feature color on it. But I think this is just too dark for us. Right, we're going to start turning now because we're at 100. There we go. And this is going to be a sort of reasonably slow ascent. I think we've got a long burn time, and it's got another 2 minutes on this stage before we even have to jump to the final stage. So yeah, it's going to be a long climb to orbit, which actually means this is a sort of design of craft that would be reasonably good for sort of crewed space flight, because you don't have those big peaks and troughs of G-force. We do finish off with about 6G on the top stage, but that's not terrible. That's not terrible. There are a lot worse. Right, we need to start turning over a bit more. We've got a lot of gravity. This is not going to be the most perfect of launches, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be taking a bit stuttery, primarily because I don't know what this craft's going to fly like, but also because we do have a lot of excess delta V. We're actually only now hitting the sort of delta V that we need for orbit. I know this thing has the delta V for orbit. It's just a case of whether I can fly it to orbit, whether the engines survive, and whether it cuts out too soon, or you know, we have some horrible incident. I could see either engine going. This requires us to actually get a good bit of thrust from both of them. But we do have extra delta V, so if we have a problem with one, there is positives there. There is hope. Right, we are now at 1,000 meters per second, so we can actually start turning right over. It's a horrible launch profile, but we'll see how it goes. So we're going to tip it right over. There we go. And I think we're going to put it at about 20 and just run it at 20 there, and try and get it up. And again, as long as we manage our time to apoaps, we're fine. So we're looking right now at an apoaps time about 2 minutes. This is a 4-minute stage after this, which is an okay sort of time for me. I'm quite happy with that. I might actually drop this down to about 10 now. There we go. And we're well over our target periaps there, so if we actually circularized at apoaps, we'd be happy. Straighten that out to a 0, and now we're just going to be burning sideways. That's all we're going to be doing. We're going to be ready for staging in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine cutoff. Stage. There we go. Now we can actually see the craft that we've built. We can get rid of those extra fairings. We can see the tiny little payload on the top there. It's absolutely tiny. And you can see what we've done is we've got our boat tail round there, just encompassing that. I think that looks quite good. And the plan is that this upper stage we can actually pack things into here, like we can put some RCS fuel tanks. We put RCS on the side of here to give us some maneuverability controls, stuff like that. And that will actually mean that this stage can actually do a lot of things for us in the future. One of those is, you know, if we actually decide to go for a lunar impactor, I think this booster could actually be capable of putting us something up to do that, but we'll have to see that in the future. That's the way it's been designed. It's been designed as our early sort of craft that I didn't want to build a craft that was, yeah, you've got to orbit, now you can build the craft that you do everything else with. I wanted something we could actually go forward with, so that's why we've spent a little bit longer getting to this point, so that I don't have to rebuild these craft. Because later on we have to do a lot of building anyway. So burning along, we've got about a minute and 30 until apoaps. We've got about 3 minutes on this engine. We have not had a failure yet. If we had one now, I would be heartbroken, because this is going really well. I love the actual effects on this. This is superb. The last time I used this engine, it was a completely different model. And it didn't have the little vernier engines on the side or anything like that, the steering engines. The exhaust was nothing like this. This is actually lovely to look at. It's actually a beautiful little model, and it looks quirky when you put it on, but it just looks really cool. So yeah, so obviously in future our payloads up here will be bigger. I think we're going to get rid of the black coloration. I don't really like that. Make it white, make it better. You can't really see the black in the blackness of the sky, can you? Right. Let's have a look. Have we actually broken any records? Have we got any records done? Surely we're going to get... we should break speed records at some point. What's the uncrewed speed record? Is 7,000. We'll beat that. I wonder what we get for that. It'd be nice to know. We have got a contract completed on a couple of things. Okay. Right. So we're just travelling along there. 30 seconds. So at some point when we get nearer this time, I'll actually start tilting up the front of the craft just to try and hold us before we start falling back down. If we stick this up about here, actually, we can keep an eye on it. And the idea will be that, you see, when we get to about 10, we're going to start. We're now starting to slow down our rise, and we want to just maintain that. So we're just going to put a 1 degree on there, and then a 2, and we're just going to ease it until we sort of level that out. A bit more. There we go. We're starting to slow that down now. And what we're actually doing is we're trading off a little bit of our forward thrust for a little bit of lift. And because of Pythagoras, we're not actually giving a big chunk. We're giving a slither of that delta V out. And that's a bit like what the Centaur stage does. It goes up and it actually starts to fall in reality. But it gives up a lot of its horizontal, some of its horizontal speed for that vertical speed, so that it can stay up there for longer. For the long burning final stages, you tend to find that they do that, and that's what it does, because it has such good ISP that it can actually afford to do that. So we're going to drop that back down to 1. We've got an over 7,000. We're coming in close to being at orbital speed, and I'm just going to pop up a little bit more. There we go. Right, we're about to do it. Just pop that there. Now we're going to let it tumble down because we are about to go orbital. Now the question is, how orbital do we want to go? I just want to go to... let's burn it out. Let's just burn it out and see what happens. Yeah, if we just keep burning, because we might as well get the rate of burn time on this engine is actually a good thing. We can get some engine burn time. Although this is a reasonably efficient engine, considering what Russian engines are like. This is a reasonably efficient engine. So there we go. This shows us the range we can actually launch into. This is actually a huge range we can actually do. That's a really nice range, actually. So now that's in orbit, we can detach the payload and it will float free, and we can actually have a look and see, have we actually got everything we need to do. So this needs to stay pretty much stable for another 30 seconds, 40 seconds. How exciting. So we'll just do this, warp it forward, see how we're doing. Is it going to do it? There we go. mission completed. And it's gathered all this telemetry and data and stuff. So what have we got here? We've got Earth, so that one's not biome specific. Pressure scan is not biome specific, and telemetry is not biome specific. So we've got no extra science out of this, but we have completed first artificial satellite. Wonderful. And yeah, this thing's going to float off now, I would imagine, randomly. We'll leave that in orbit as a bit of space rubbish in actual fact. So these two are going to just float around in orbit for eternity. So let's go back to the Space Center and see what we have won. Right, so we have completed uncrewed speed records 7,000 meters per second. That gives us 15,000 units of credit. We've gone 9,000 meters per second. That's given us another batch. We've gone first artificial satellite, which has given us 100,000. That's nice. And we're done. So we have some more missions to come to. All of these in here. We've also got the X-planes, but we do not have any of the sounding rockets anymore. We are beyond the sounding rocket period. We do have the advanced biological suborbital experiment, and we have also lost the camera and the standard biological sample, but that doesn't matter because we basically got those anyway, I think. So we can work through those. So from me until next time, while we decide what our next steps are going to be. Have a great one.